any further delay.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us for another episode of the Fox 12 Weather Podcast. This is episode 61. Today is Thursday, July 20th. I'm meteorologist Jeff Orzeron, joined by Camilla Ortiz. Hey Camilla.
Hello, Jeff.
Chief Meteorologist Mark Nelson. Hey Mark.
Right here in the closet.
And a new face. That's right.
I'm sorry, I didn't even know.
No, we're keeping
I'm sorry.
that.
No.
Carry on.
Okay. I'm in the closet here where we have all the umbrellas. Sorry. Continue.
And we're joined by a new face to the podcast. This is Chief Meteorologist Melissa Frey from Alaska's news source. Hey, Melissa.
Hello. Good to be with you guys.
Thanks for joining us. We thought it'd be fun to have Melissa on the podcast. She works at our sister station up in Anchorage, Alaska, which is really cool. And we have a lot to ask her and talk to her about. So before we get into, talking about Melissa and all things Alaska weather, why don't we talk about our forecast and how things have been going this July? By the way, it's nice to have you back, Mark. I know you were on vacation last week. How was that? Where were you?
Barely working over here.
What does that look? Come on, Camilla. I work hard all winter long, and I've worked, I think, 3 days this week. All right.
Yeah. Wow.
3 days. All right. Oh, wait, I worked last weekend because somebody was off, too. We're going to need counseling, folks. No, everything's good. My vacation went to Southern Canada, and we're back now, and the weather is pretty pleasant. You want the rundown? Because I actually have, like bullet points for the weather coming up, ready to go.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Mark, you've been off, and I think we need you to go into overdrive now. We need Mark Nelson. Full
Pick
speed.
up the slack, Mark. Let's go.
Yesterday we were 96, a little too hot. Yeah, okay, 96 degrees. Not a record, of course. Records are around 100 or so this time of the year. That big hot ridge of high pressure is back east. Not back east. I mean, in the western USA, kind of western central, we're on the edge of it. So that's why it briefly got hot. It got a little bit closer to us. Now it has moved away. We had some onshore flow, so a little cooler today. Temperature's running about 10 degrees cooler at 3 p.m. when we're recording this compared to yesterday. So that's good. I think we're back in the 80s. Big picture, next 10 days, probably no rain unless we get a shower out of a little passing trough next Monday or Tuesday. All right. No heat wave. I think that's a biggie. Remember last July, the last week of July? Huge heat wave, historic. That's not going to happen. In fact, we have near to below average 500 millibar temps next week. So I think it's going to be really pleasant until further notice. You know what? Breaking news here. I think the GFS numbers look better than the Euros for next week.
Ooh.
I don't
Please
usually
elaborate.
do that.
What do you mean just better?
They're just a little cooler. They have some upper 70s Monday and Tuesday. I think that's more likely. Euro's still running a little bit warmer. I mean, we're talking a small technicality, but you know how I get it.
Pause. Melissa,
Yep.
For reference, because Melissa's new to the podcast, Mark is a Euro homer, as we like to say. He loves that Euro. Loves it. I don't know why. It's okay, though. And today, he's backing off a little bit.
It's the number one global model. But once in a while, you can't hit a home run every time. And so the Euro once in a while has to come down to earth and not do quite as well. Okay. I know, Melissa, this is a weird podcast you stumbled into. But yeah. So anyway, I think we have pleasant weather next week and no heat wave and pretty good stuff. So I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, and it's nice to get some relief, right? Our favorite tool, Xmasis, I tapped into that this morning, friends, and punched in the numbers. And through the first 19 days of July, this is the third warmest July on record in Portland. And it's all linked to just this sprawling high pressure system, this huge ridge, heat dome, however, a large ridge of high pressure. There's a lot of names that you can use for the ridge that's essentially centered over the Southwest. You've heard about the extreme heat going on in areas like Palm Springs, Death Valley, Las Vegas, Phoenix, et cetera, extending off to the east, in fact. Many days in a row at and above 110 in Phoenix. I know a couple days ago they had their hottest day on record when you combine the high and low together. Their overnight low a couple nights ago was 97, and their daytime high was 119. Actually, yeah, that was yesterday officially. So, so it has not only been an extreme heat ridge, but also just a slow moving one that has brought long duration heat to many cities. And we've kind of been on the edge of it, and we will continue to kind of be on the edge of that system. So that's kind of locally what we're looking at. No extreme heat nor any heat waves coming our way. But, we kind of wanted to switch subjects here because We don't usually have a meteorologist outside of the lower 48 on the podcast. So, Melissa, how is the weather been so far this summer up in Anchorage?
Well, it's so funny to hear you say we're not going to see extreme heat or heat wave, even though temperatures are still like crazy compared to our standards here. So here's the thing about Alaskans. They can endure pretty much any type of weather, extreme wind, dangerous wind chill, feet of snow, doesn't phase them. But a cool, wet summer, they're done. Can't handle it. And so it's been rough. It has been rough. We have had the most number of rainy days since the start of summer, June 1st, that we've ever recorded. Not the most amount of rain, but the most amount of rainy days. It's just been cool and cloudy and wet.
Oh,
Like Portland and when we have a cool, wet May, right?
Yes.
Kind of like that.
Exactly.
Oh.
So yeah, but the rest of the state is getting the influences of that high pressure that's over Western Canada and down across you guys, kind of sneaks up over into interior Alaska. And so their temperatures are in the 70s and 80s. They're seeing record heat all the way up to the slope. But here along the coast in South Central, yeah, we're just on a storm train. We're just stuck in that trough, that low pressure, just sitting there in the Northern Pacific, and it's just nonstop.
Wow.
We sit there and we talk
change.
we talk about this Goldilocks zone that we can often fall into, Melissa, where we have that heat dome to our southeast and then the cooler system over the Gulf of Alaska. And I think that system that's just been kind of lingering up over the Gulf of Alaska, is that the one that's been keeping you wet? Is that the one?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. And it kind of just, since we moved into July, it's wobbling more. So it'll dip far enough to the south that we'll get a little ridging up over the top. And so the longest stretch we've had without measurable precip is 3 days.
Wow.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's been rough.
Oh.
But this, you can send, like good thoughts and prayers for Alaskans.
Thoughts and prayers. And
But-
Melissa, and you know what it's like to have a warm, dry summer because you are from here.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And kind of, I think Oregonians feel that way too, that you kind of like you make it through the winter because the summers are so amazing.
Yes.
And summers are so amazing here, just like they are in Portland and throughout Western Oregon. I mean, it's just like the best kept secret that you don't want to tell anyone.
That's what I was going to ask. So what does a typical summer look like where you are?
Yeah, so our wettest months are August and September. So that is when the rain kicks in. But we start our dry season April, and that continues all the way through mid-July. High temperatures in the mid-60s is average. We average, I think it's like close to 70 degree days a year, but 70 feels hotter here because it is super dry and it just the sun intensity.
Yeah.
Because of all the daylight, the temperatures don't really drop overnight much.
Interesting.
Yeah,
that's
cool.
interesting.
Yeah. But this year, and also like forecasting in Portland, summer's just pretty easy because you don't have that constant storm train. But that has not been the case because if you're trying to forecast, like the occasional shower or when the drizzle is going to move in, it's difficult. Here it can come from anywhere. So pretty much in Western Oregon, things move west to east. Like you're watching what's coming off the coast, you know, more or less. You know how things are going to behave over the Coast Range, how the gorge is going to influence things.
Right.
Here, we've got oceans on three sides. We have mountain ranges all over, and it can just come from anywhere at any time. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So you have forecasted in Eugene, right? Before, actually, did we go over your history? Wait, we didn't do that yet.
Yeah. Let's do that first.
Oh,
Yeah,
about our summer.
Where you're from here, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so born and raised in Beaverton. Go Low Warriors, just down the road from KPTV. My husband's from there as well. So both our parents still live in the houses we grew up in, and most of our family and friends are still there.
And then you did TV in Eugene, right?
Yeah, so I went to Spokane for college, journalism communications there. And then I went to Corvallis, Oregon State, got a master's in atmospheric science there. And then right after that, popped down to Eugene, was there for close to 10 years and thought I would never leave Oregon. But we got this opportunity to come to Alaska and we thought it was crazy and never in a million years would I have thought I would live in Alaska. but we're like, you know what? Like, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. Let's just like go
Right.
for it. The kids were really young, and we've been here. This is our 8th summer, and I can't believe it.
You've been there 8 years. It seems like about 3.
I know. That's what I feel like. We still feel like tourists here. We're still, exploring and
Okay, on that subject, from like a lot of people's perspective, the idea of moving to Alaska seems kind of crazy, you know, like
Extreme.
For sure.
extreme. Yeah, because I've never been to Alaska. Of course, I've talked to you several times now, and I understand that life is normal and fun, and there's a lot going on up there. But talk about that process, like the approach to your move, like the days leading up to it, and then finally moving. Was it really dramatic? Was it a big life change? Like what was it like?
Did you
Yeah,
drive?
I think we
No.
had been, we really thought about it for close to a year. So the opportunity presented itself and we were like, no way, that's crazy. And they just kept working on us for this job opportunity up here. And we finally got to come visit. And so when we made the decision, we felt really good about it because we had really processed it for a long time. And it just felt like the right time. It just felt like a fun, opportunity. We had never really left Oregon. But the move was crazy because you have to ship everything. So we got rid of most of our stuff. It was the middle of winter when we moved here.
Ugh.
Wow.
Packed up our
So cold.
so cold. We packed up our little Ford Explorer as much as we could. And Eugene drove it to Tacoma, put it on a ship. And so then that was coming here. And then we packed up 6 suitcases, like everything we could take on the airplane. And we have 2 little kids. At that point, I had a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old. And we got here and we were like, whoa, what did we just do? It's been great. I mean, Anchorage, they call it like the biggest village of Alaska. And it's just a great community and good place to live.
And so, Mark, you can go ahead and then I'll follow up on a question.
I was just going to say, so it's kind of like when people move to Hawaii, they have to put everything on a ship, like the car. Yeah. So, that's a big deal. I didn't think of the details of like, you're not just driving there like you would drive a car to Ohio or Minnesota. So pretty tricky. And then I got one more question for you. So I've heard, and I think maybe you might have said something about this, that it actually feels sunnier up there in the winter than here in Oregon. Did you say that, or did I hear that from somewhere else?
Yeah, because in the winter, the way the weather patterns work, it's either snowing or it's crystal clear.
I love that.
More similar to like maybe Spokane or Bend, in that way. So it's like crystal clear blue sky, like bluer. I always say like, how is the sky so blue here? Because it's just so clean and clear. But then that pristine white snow. And I love the winter. I've always loved snow in Oregon. It's like such an exciting thing when you get a chance for snow. But I still get giddy like a little kid every time we get snow.
That's so cool. Melissa, you and I met originally at the AMS, the American Meteorological Society's conference out in Milwaukee. And we were kind of talking a little bit. And I remember, we are station scientists, so we don't just cover, weather. There are often times that we cover other things. Like, for instance, yesterday we had a paper mill fire up in Longview, and that was sending smoke into the metro area. So we were covering that. But you cover some pretty extreme stuff on the, geologic spectrum, essentially, or geological spectrum, I guess you could say. Talk about what it's like to cover earthquakes and things of that nature up in Alaska, because and maybe describe some of the more extreme events that you've covered up there.
Yeah, I mean, just this week we had a magnitude 7.2 earthquake that happened Saturday at 11 p.m. out in the Aleutians. That triggered a tsunami warning. So that's a pretty, I wouldn't say a common occurrence, but a couple times a year that happens. And so now I am trained to know that anytime my phone's going to go off and I'm going to have to go into go mode. So severe weather in a different way than like, tornadoes or whatever, but just pops up out of nowhere. And then we have 2 volcanoes that are currently actively erupting right now, putting up lava and ash. So we cover that. And the advisories for pilots and, just air quality and ash alerts and all of that. So yeah, I've learned a ton about that stuff since I've been here. I was really thankful at Oregon State. They have a big tsunami research program there.
Mm-hmm.
So I did get to learn quite a bit while I was there. I was on air in Eugene during the 2011 earthquake and tsunami from Japan. And I had no idea what that experience would help me now, but yeah, just understanding the impacts and how serious those things are. I take them very seriously. And it's tough because with tsunami warnings, people are scared. They don't know how bad it's going to be because it could be nothing or it could be catastrophic. And you don't know, like it takes some while, before we really know that information. And so that, of course, my heart just beats out of my chest when those earthquakes happen because of what happened to Japan in 2011. Like we know the impacts. And they know the impacts here too, because they had the second biggest earthquake in the world. So yeah, that's the more serious side of the job. And we're just always looking at tsunami and earthquakes, and then volcanoes too. I haven't experienced any major eruptions that have impacted communities. They've been pretty remote. But we know that that's always a potential. We have volcanoes, right close here, like you guys have St. Helens, that at any time could erupt like that. The biggest event that I had was our 2018 magnitude 7.1 earthquake. And it was scary and intense. We were on air for 16 hours straight. But the community came together and it was cool to see how they handled that. And
Man.
Yeah.
having water around, you said how did you describe it? 3 sides of Anchorage are surrounded by water. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, so Alaska, has 3 ocean, like the Pacific Ocean, the Arctic, and the Bering Sea. But Anchorage, we have an inlet that comes up and separates us. So Anchorage is like a triangle where one side is mountains and the other 2 sides are water.
Man, that is just, talk about a unique setting. And there's reason to take these tsunami warnings and earthquakes very seriously because it's such a vulnerable community, it sounds like. And I imagine a lot of the population lives close to the water.
Yeah. And we're still learning. Like in Oregon, I think the tsunami research and understanding has come so far, even in the past decade or two, in terms of what do you do in a tsunami warning? Where do you go? Where are those evacuation zones? I think most people are pretty comfortable with that. We are still getting mapping for communities in Alaska. And because the population is so much lower, the federal funding is so much lower. And so it just takes more effort by the scientists here to do that research. And then once they get that information, we get the tsunami signs and the warnings and the evacuation zones. But that's still happening. There are still communities that are very much at a tsunami risk that don't really know.
Wow.
Right. And you do weather for most of the state, right? Am I correct? And you're also at least temporarily doing weather we have our company, Gray Corporation. We're the SID company. They also have a station in Fairbanks, right? So you're doing weather for that station? That's kind of a satellite station, or what's the setup there?
So technically Alaska is 3 television markets, but we own the stations in Juneau. That's a separate market. So they just air all of our stuff. It's all the same now. So we are viewed everywhere in the state of Alaska, except for basically the metro area of Fairbanks. They have their own station, but we're doing weather for them currently. Yeah. So if you're in Alaska, you get our forecast.
And if you're looking for a job, you're looking for somebody to do weather in Fairbanks, right? Would the person live in Fairbanks? Is that right?
Well, we have an opening right here in Anchorage for a weekend meteorologist. And then we also have an opening for a main evening meteorologist in Fairbanks. So there's 2 opportunities.
So we need 2 folks to step up. Before we finish this podcast, we're going to need 2 folks to step up, stand up and say, I want to be a part of Alaska's news.
Open up the phone lines.
Alaska
folks.
News. What was it again? Alaska.
News source. Yeah.
News
Caller
source.
number
That's
1.
it.
Yeah. What are your qualifications? Oh, and by the way, Melissa, our one of our directors here, Steven, wants to say hello. Knows you from Eugene.
Right.
Yep. Yeah.
I saw him back there. You had to go
he's
shush
waving.
him, didn't
Come
you?
here. Get in
Get
here,
over there,
Steven.
Steven.
This is
Come
a
on,
family
Steven.
show.
Oh, there's Steven.
Get in here. There you go.
You like a virtual hug.
Yeah. She's
Oh.
giving you a virtual hug,
Ew.
she said.
Oh.
That's awesome.
Steven's
That's
a nice
Steven,
guy.
everybody. Yeah, we love Steven.
He buys my
Yeah.
chicken eggs. Yeah,
Oh.
I do too, Mark. Let's
that's right.
not
But
forget.
we don't have any. It's too hot. The ladies have stopped putting out eggs, so yeah, everything's cooled off. Well, that's good. That's great to get to know you a bit more, Melissa. So, is it
Wait,
time
wait,
for the
wait.
quiz? Wait, no more.
We're forgetting a very important question for Melissa, which is, what is your favorite model?
Oh.
Yeah.
No pressure. No pressure.
Well,
Computer model, just a refresher
right.
here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
That's funny. I've never thought about it that way. I'm very much into ensembles.
Nice.
I love backtracking models, so I'm definitely like a data nerd. So I pull in all the model MOS data into an Excel and like track it.
Oh, that's right.
Oh.
I never got that done, by the way. But yeah.
I
Ooh.
would say here probably NAM for temperatures and GFS for precip.
Nice.
GFS.
GFS girl, let's go GFS.
Go GFS. Also, I think the MM5. I mean, MM5 runs through the GFS, so I appreciate that. I check that every day.
Nice.
Okay.
Mark has
Cool.
a scowl on
Right.
his face.
I'm glad it is working out for you. I'm glad that you're happy, and that I want everybody to be happy.
Oh, that
my
is
God.
one of the bigger challenges of forecasting Alaska is we don't have the model resolution.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So like
Or satellite
our-
imagery. Yeah, too.
Yeah, and imagery, it's all rough up here. The
Man.
radar
Yeah.
coverage is like in Oregon, you talk about like the radar, void zone that's over the southern Willamette Valley. That's like the entire state of Alaska.
Oh
It's a
man.
void
Yeah.
zone. Yeah. So
Okay.
All right.
I want to
right,
see
good.
what Mark has been cooking up with this quiz.
Oh yeah, this will be good.
Here we go, folks. So these are going to be a multiple choice. All right.
Oh.
We've got, since Melissa's our guest, she gets to go first, and then Camilla, then Jeff. Okay, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 6 questions here.
Do we
And
each
we'll
get
see
to
what-
answer, or are we each answering a separate question? How are the rules stacked here?
Oh, yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
get that far.
Oh.
Yeah, okay, sure. Yeah, you each get an answer.
Okay.
So, number one, name one food that is quite popular in Alaska, according to my research. You have 3 choices. Moose mush, like for breakfast, reindeer sausage, or Palmer poutine. Melissa.
reindeer sausage is very popular.
Camilla?
Well, I could just copy Melissa, but that would kind of be a cop out. I was gonna go with the poutine.
Melissa could be wrong. She just moved there 8 years ago. What is she? Yeah,
I
maybe
mean,
she's.
okay. Well,
So you're gonna
Yeah.
go for Palmer poutine?
yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm eliminating moose because I think people like worship the moose up there, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe not worship. That might be a strong word. I'm going to go with poutine as well. Same latitude as Canada. So we'll go with the poutine for fun.
Melissa knows. Melissa knows. She won, right? Is that a thing? It said it's at food carts. Is that correct?
Yeah, they have food carts downtown Anchorage all over. People have like their favorite hot dog stand and they all serve reindeer sausage.
Wow.
All right.
Is
So-
it tasty? Is it good? Have you had it?
I have not had it.
It's okay. That's totally okay.
Well,
Can
you
you-
need to go try it.
I think
We're not going to edit that out. That's a staying
Yeah, it's all
in.
good.
So there you go.
here, if it's possible, could you send us like a frozen package of it and we will try it live, not live, but on the weather podcast?
That's a great idea.
I could try, reindeer, and I could. My freezer's full of salmon, halibut, rockfish. I could easily sneak in some of that.
Yum.
So is Katie's. Okay.
my
So,
gosh.
'cause we found out
Oh,
last
that's the
weekend
point.
that Katie
Yeah.
gets free salmon every.
It's a point of
weekend.
contention.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we could do
yeah.
a taste test of Oregon salmon versus Alaskan salmon.
Oh,
Now that's-
Ooh.
Mark, by the way, maybe
Uh-huh.
the Alaskan should not answer first next time.
Yeah, I was gonna say that same
Okay, you're right.
thing.
Good move. Good move. I kind of ruined that one, didn't I?
a
Yeah.
little bit.
All right,
Yeah.
question 2. What time is it? Oh, it's 3:20. Question 2. Coldest temperature. Give me the coldest temperature ever observed in Alaska. No, never mind. I'm sorry. I screwed this up. The coldest temperature ever observed in Alaska is -80 in late January 1971. But where? Camilla, where did it hit -80? Was it in Fairbanks? I'm not going to do it right. Utqiagvik, formerly Barrow, Prospect Creek, or North Pole?
I'm gonna go with Barrow.
Yeah, that's what I was going to
Okay.
go with too. I'm going to go with Barrow.
Melissa?
I believe the correct answer is Prospect Creek.
Nice. 2 points for Melissa, 0 for
Dang
Camilla
it.
and Jeff.
Oh man.
Nice. Nice.
All
Yeah,
right.
Prospect Creek was -80.
Wait, I need to look that up on a map. Where is that?
Somewhere in the middle of the
North.
state, I'm guessing.
Up
She
north,
said up
yeah.
north. Good guess.
Prospect.
It's probably not on the coast because, the interior would be colder.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah, okay. Kind of
Jeff, you can do this one first.
All right.
What's
Redemption.
the hottest temperature ever observed in Alaska? Now, to give you a little extra, I'll have some help here. It happened in Fort Yukon in 1915. Okay.
Super helpful.
Yeah. Was it 100 or 102 or 106? Hottest temperature in Alaska. Jeff, go.
102.
Okay. Camilla?
I'll go 106.
Melissa?
Oof. I know the hottest for Anchorage is 90, but I'm going to say, I think it's 100.
Sweet. Yes.
Oh
Three for Melissa.
No.
0 for Camilla.
Totally flunking
0
this.
for Jeff.
Ay.
You are becoming an Alaskan native. Look
Oh
at
my
this.
gosh.
Or at least, yeah.
Right before
All
our
right,
eyes.
Oh,
Okay.
man.
All right, question 4. Almost 50% of Alaskans use this item regularly in the summer months.
Camilla has
Camilla.
to answer first. Yeah. Okay.
Is it blackout curtains? Is it hiking poles? Or is it mosquito spray? 50% of Alaskans use this item.
That's such a good.
Okay, I'm going to go blackout curtains.
Okay. Jeff?
Mosquito spray for 500.
Okay,
Melissa.
the real answer is 100% of Alaskans use 100% of those things all the time.
Right.
All of those. I'm going to say all the above, but if I had to pick one,
You have to pick one, 50%.
oh man, I would say blackout curtains.
Yes!
Oh,
Nice.
4 points. Oh, wait,
Oh.
4 points for Melissa and 1 for Camilla.
I
And
pulled ahead. But the only
0
thing that
for
matters
Jeff.
is that I beat Jeff.
there we go. There we go.
Oh.
Okay, 2 more to go here, folks. Tension is up. Jeff, can Jeff actually get on the board? We will see. Highest atmospheric pressure ever observed in Alaska. Was it 1,080 millibars in 1989? Was it 1,080 in January of 1989? Was it 1,084 in June of 1975? Or was it 1,068 millibars in February of 1986? So
We'll go with-
who is next? It's Jeff. Yeah, Jeff for this one. There's a clue in one of those, actually.
I didn't pay attention to the clue, so
I can read them quick one more time.
one more time. Yeah.
1,080 in January of 1989. Was it 1,084 in June of 1975? Or was it 1,068 in February of 86?
I'll go with C.
February of 86. Okay.
Camilla.
What was that first one? 1,080?
1,080 January in 1989.
I'll go that one.
Melissa? I'm going to throw Melissa off on this one. This is
Yeah,
also the
throw me
USA
off.
record high pressure, too.
We just set a record low pressure last year.
Mm-hmm.
But not
But
high.
that doesn't get you any points in this one. We're proud of you for that fact, Melissa, but you don't get points for that one.
B, the June.
Nope. So Camilla is the winner.
Oh wow.
Yay!
It was a massive cold wave. I was just a kid in college, and 1,080 millibars came down Pacific Northwest, one of our greatest heat waves ever, or cold waves ever. So Camilla gets a point. Melissa,
Nice.
nope, no point. And Jeff,
Yeah. I'm
Strike.
just-
still not
Melissa.
quite on the table.
yeah. This is
No.
not
Okay,
good.
this is your last chance here, folks. So, and you alluded to this earlier with earthquake. So, the Good Friday or Great Alaska Earthquake, 2 different names, in late March 1964 was rated what magnitude? That was it. What magnitude? And we'll talk about the effects on Oregon too. But what magnitude was it? And this is Camilla.
You got to
What
give us some
magnitude?
answers.
Good Friday earthquake, second largest ever on the planet.
Is this a
What
is
straight
it?
guess to the magnitude?
Isn't this
Yeah.
this is a multiple choice?
No.
Oh wow. Have
Whoa.
fun.
Second largest recorded on the planet.
Good luck.
Oh no.
Glad I'm going second.
You know, I got a
Okay.
show in 34 minutes.
Okay, 7.2.
All right.
Okay, so we'll go closest, or is it closest without going over? Is this like The Price is Right? No, it'll
Nine?
just be closest.
Magnitude
Okay.
7.8.
Melissa?
9.2.
Yes.
That's a
Whoa.
that is such a big
9.2.
earthquake.
But that
Oh,
was that was second biggest.
Wasn't
Yeah,
Chile
the
the
biggest was
largest
Chile.
1960? Yeah, just 2 years before.
Whoa.
Yeah, 9.2. It killed about 100 people in Alaska by tsunami, which was interesting. The tsunami, most of the deaths from tsunami were not from the actual, like the uplifting of the ocean. It was landslides under the ocean that caused same effect, right? And then on the Oregon coast, 4 people died. I remember this one. There was a family of maybe during spring break camping on the beach or very close to the beach at Beverly Beach. And the parents, they had like a log shelter, 4 kids. All 4 kids were washed away. The parents survived.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, I'm sorry. Did it say one of the kids? No, they only found one of the kids, I think. But they all died.
Jeez.
So that had you can find pictures online from Seaside from that tsunami. My mother remembers they were sitting in church. It was like Good Friday, and she remembers they were sitting in church and the big the lights that hang really low in the big kind of cathedral thing, they were swinging. Everybody's looking around like, why are the lights swinging? It was a huge
Eerie.
earthquake.
Whoa.
Yeah. So on a brighter note, Melissa, you win 5 points, Camilla 2, and Jeff 0.
So glad
Big
I
fat
didn't
F for
embarrass my
Jeff.
fellow Alaskans.
But we love you, Jeff. Yeah, Melissa, you are becoming an Alaskan very
Oh,
quickly here. It
man.
looks like.
Yeah. Cool.
Good job. Good job.
Good quiz, Mark.
Interesting
Thanks for that.
place. I mean,
Yeah.
Alaska's just such a fascinating place. Unlike, Hawaii's kind of that warm, tropical, exotic place. You think of Alaska as kind of an exotic, cold place. Kind of like
Yeah.
Iceland. It's our own little Iceland, right?
Yeah, you all need to come up here. Check it
Oh,
It
out.
looks
it sounds so
freaking
cool.
stunning.
Around.
Yeah, it looks amazing up there.
We could come do some fill-in weather. We're the same company, so we could just, ship right up there for a week and do some weather, give you a break.
I think so. We could use the help.
Yeah.
Don't we all? Yeah.
We could just trade places for a week.
That would
Perfect.
be fun. I'd do that. One
That'd be
week.
fun. What was that show where they did that? What was it like trading wives or something? Do you know what I'm talking
Oh,
about?
That's a
Wife
little
swap?
bit different.
Wife swap. Thank you. It was
Wife swap.
Jeff, you never watched Wife Swap?
What?
Oh,
Is that
it
like
was so
Melrose
good.
Place? No, that's different.
No, it was good. Like they traded families for like a week or something, and they had to
Oh yeah.
figure it out. It was
We
great.
should do that. I think we
We
should,
should
do
do that.
Wife
Yeah.
swap.
So when Camilla's not
Weather
running 20 miles a day, she's watching Wife Swap, folks. That's
I'm not. I just know of it. It's called pop culture awareness.
it's really good. It's really
That's
good,
true.
guys.
Yeah. Anyway, fun quiz. Good
Yeah.
job, folks.
And I think we are running out of time. We had a few more plans for the podcast, but that's how things go on this podcast. We just start chatting it away. And
Yep.
Mark, it's up to you though. You've got the
You
show
got a
coming
couple
up.
more minutes. I'll give you 2 or 3 more minutes. There we go.
Oh boy,
Okay.
make
Ready
it
to go.
count.
I can mail this in. It's just sunshine this weekend.
Jeez, hope the bosses aren't listening.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll appreciate that one. Yeah.
We're fine.
So we're starting a weather term of the week this week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody. And the weather term of the week this week. And by the way, if somebody, maybe Camilla, because you probably have the best computing power, I don't want to crash this podcast here. Pull up the actual definition of an inversion. That's our weather term of the week is an inversion, also known as a temperature inversion. And Marco's, for full disclosure, Camilla loves inversions. So that was
love inversions.
well. Why do you love
I remember
inversions? I want to know why you love inversions.
They're just so cool. I don't know. It's just
They are
so
cool.
interesting. Yeah.
Fact, they are usually pretty cool, weather-wise. Not
Literally.
Yeah.
always.
Right.
So
You want me to read the official definition?
Yeah.
yeah.
Please do.
Okay, this is from the National Weather Service glossary.
Oh.
A temperature inversion is a layer in the atmosphere in which air temperature increases with height, right? Because
Mhm.
usually it decreases with height.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. So if you think about driving up a mountain, let's just give you Mount Hood, for instance, on a typical day. You drive up the mountain, let's just say a winter day. How about that? In the middle of the afternoon. We have clear roads down in the valley. You drive up, you're all of a sudden reaching the snow line and the temperature is falling. You're looking at the thermometer in your car. So in a typical atmosphere, the temperature falls as you increase with height or increase with altitude or elevation. But in an inversion setting, you see the opposite effect, where you see the temperature cooler in the lower levels and warmer in the upper levels. There are certain scenarios where this happens. I can think of wintertime in the Willamette Valley, for instance, when we have that fog, the low clouds settling in. What happens is the cold air is more dense and it sinks down during the nighttime into the lowest levels of the atmosphere, or our valleys. And it creates that colder layer down below and then warmer up above. And it can trap pollutants. It can actually create really poor air quality at times. I don't know how many inversions you see up in Alaska, Melissa. Locally, do you see any in Anchorage?
Oh, yeah. And because we have mountains, naturally we get those cold air inversions, but nothing like being in Eugene and Corvallis. I mean, that's where you see it, like forecasting there. You hate inversions. Hate them.
A week of gray.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And terrible
you
stuff.
Complain, like, if you just go up the mountain, it's crystal clear, I promise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do have inversions. We think of them typically around here as wintertime events, right? Because, we have cool air gets stuck in the valleys. The sunshine can't warm the surface. Sun is too weak. But we do actually get inversions every summer morning. Every summer night, we're in an inversion, typically, because we have, we just had that yesterday morning with that smoke that came in from Longview. It was in the, 60s lower elevations. My guess is it was probably 70, a few thousand feet up. That's an inversion. It should normally drop, like you said, about maybe 3.5 degrees. And a perfectly mixed atmosphere drops about, 3.5 degrees every 1,000 feet.
Every 1,000, yeah.
Yeah.
So if anybody caught the time lapse that I posted or even saw the fire that broke out at the abandoned Kmart in Northeast Portland, big plume of smoke went up and then it just flattened out all of a sudden. Actually, I will say there was a moment where it penetrated through that inversion. So it was so hot that it worked its way up. But anywho, most of it just flattened out because that air rose up and then it hit that the top of the inversion essentially.
Yeah, it was a great time lapse. We used it, Jeff.
Yeah, we did.
Thanks for setting that up for us. Well, I know it wasn't for us, but we thank you for not deleting it. If you were really mean person, you would use it, put it on social media, then delete it so we couldn't.
Oh,
I don't think you would do that.
Jeff would never.
No.
I've heard of weird coworkers that'll do that sort of stuff. You go to weather conferences, you hear some weird stories, but we appreciate it when you leave us all that content, Jeff. That's great.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. And one more scenario I can just think of off the top of my head with an inversion is oftentimes during a severe weather scenario in the central United States, like the plains, they have something called the cap, where you'll have warm air rising, but then it'll hit a point in the atmosphere. They call it the cap, where the air stops rising because it's unstable, and then it hits a warmer layer up above.
Warmer, yeah.
Yeah, warmer layer up above it. Yeah. And then eventually, if it does break through the cap, then it hits an area that is super unstable, and that creates those massive cumulonimbus clouds and eventually maybe supercell thunderstorms. So there are a lot of scenarios where we can see inversions.
Jeff, you got so excited you just knocked your microphone off.
I know. I got very excited there.
We love your enthusiasm. That's okay. We like that.
So, anyways, thanks for joining us, by the way, Melissa. It was great to have you on. It would be fun to kind of circle back, especially when, things get a little bit more active up there in Anchorage and we can kind of get, some feedback on what's happening in your life and how things are playing out locally up there. Guys, did you want to add anything else before we head out here? No?
I just want to thank Melissa, and it would be fun when it's really cold in the winter.
Yeah.
If you could pop on, tell us what it feels like.
Tell how cold it is. Thank you so much for having me. Fun. It feels like home, a little taste of home, and fun to share the uniqueness of Alaska, of course.
Thanks.
Yeah, that was so great. We appreciate just getting a different perspective and a different voice on here is really cool.
Send us some of that heat, please.
Just a little.
Yeah.
Just a little.
We'll try our best. Well, and thanks to everybody else for joining us for episode 61 of the Fox 12 Weather Podcast. We'll be back next week to talk about, what else is going on with the weather. Until then, we'll see you soon.
And tell us, please tell us